How about we do some Saturday chess? Welcome to the Backyard Professor Chess videos. Fedorov really gives us a great game versus Lanka in 1998 on how to do a proper game using your bishops. And Fedorov shows us how. Very beautifully so. Fedorov is playing the black pieces, so we're going to put them to where we can see what they're doing. Knight f3, d6, d4, hitting the center immediately. C will take the d, and the knight will take the d, and the knight will come to f6, and the knight will come to c3, and we now get a fianchetto. Fedorov says, okay, let's go this direction. Going to bring his bishop out, and he's going to fianchetto his bishop. Let's see what we've got going here, is what he's saying. Solidifying that e pawn, Fedorov is going to castle. In this instance, it's a good thing. Now the bishop to the c4, hitting this f pawn, although it is guarded adamantly with that concrete rook. Knight c6. We're going to touch the knight here. A direct challenge. Do we exchange yet? No. Just because there is tension does not mean it's proper to relieve the tension. Get your queen in the game. Do you take as black? No, you do not. Why? I will show you the logic behind not taking that. This is very critical. You take the white knight. You lose one of your knights, a wonderful warrior in the center, and he takes with the bishop. Look at the power of the bishop opening up all of a sudden. It completely eliminates, or challenges, I should say, the power of this bishop, which has this long diagonal. You improve your opponent's position by exchanging, so don't. To take is a mistake, is how Grandmaster Smirnov says. So do not take the knight. It is better to bring the bishop to d7. Now we've got a battle because, of course, white castles the opposite side, the queen side, and notice black's immediate reaction. We see this in so many games that it does pay later in the game to do this. It's the only piece that's not working. So put him to work. And where does he put him? Directly across from the king. And there's all kinds of stuff between it. Doesn't matter. Put the rook across from the king. We see this so often. It's a good observation. It's a good way to play your rooks if you don't know where to put them. Put them either across from the king or the queen. And you improve the value of that rook as opposed to here is much greater now. You can see that. So that makes perfect sense. Now everyone's activated and ready and romping and going. Bishop bumps down to d3. Knight will come to a5, attacking the bishop. King will come to b1, help protect the a pawn. Knight will come to c4. Not a permanent outpost, but what a spot. Attacking the queen, forking the pawn here, and attacking the bishop here. That's a great spot for that knight. It makes sense that he put that knight there. And so it also makes sense that the bishop is going to take the knight. That makes perfect sense. Look how this shifts the emphasis on the chessboard. So he exchanged his knight, which in a cramped position like this had a lot of different forks going on. He exchanged the knight. Now the rook comes up and takes the bishop. The bishop had the real wonderful long diagonal right at the king. So what this did is it exchanged his knight, it took out the bishop, and now it emphasizes the file, which is on the side that the king castled. Now, the king is no longer across from the rook. That's not a problem. Look at the strength of that rook file, I should say. So this is really interesting to watch. Okay, here come the troops. Now you've castled on the queen's side. So you no longer have to worry about the pawn formation on the king side. So run them in, battering rams. Break open your king, your opponent's king, I mean. Take him apart. Here we go. And likewise, B5, here we go. Charge is what each one of them are saying. So before you do, though, helps to centralize the queen a little bit more. Keep your eye on this guy and keep your eye on your own pawn, even though he is protected twice. A centralized queen is stronger than a queen that is not centralized. And now this move is spectacular. No, it's not an open file. But once again, we see this, and we see this in so many games, don't we? First, it was the rook that was across from the king. Now it's the queen across from the king. There's so much stuff here that she's much more effective here at this point. So that makes sense to put it there. Very nice maneuver. Here we go. Charge! Throw those pawns. Throw those pawns. Sack, 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 mate. You push, 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 sack, and mate. That's Fisher's formula. Do that. And now the knight will come to h5. So now that you have begun to throw your pawns at your opponent's king, you also need to back them with pieces, which makes perfect sense. So what would be wrong with knight d5? Notice the change of stature of the knight instantly. Here, he's just kind of sitting there. Here, he can now jump to either side. Now, I get it. Neither one of these squares are available right now. I'm just showing you the influence here is so much deeper into the black territory. And on this side, look, that's the f6, guys. That's a direct check to the king. I get it. Yes, the square is guarded. That's not the issue at this point. The influence of the knight is so much stronger as you bring it forward in the center. And he has been pushing his pawn. So it's a great move. That's all I want to show you on that. And it's so good. It is so good of a move. Fedorov, and so likewise us now, if an opponent does this to us, don't just let him enjoy basking in the power and glory there. Attack it. Challenge that knight. Yeah, no, that's too good of a spot. Not going to let you take up residence here. You owe me rent or I'm kicking you out. That's how that works. And once again, now, I agree, the e-pawn was covering the f6. So by pressing the e-pawn, instead of, say, a bishop, but if you'd have pushed the bishop, the knight would have just exchanged. So by pressing the e-pawn, you weakened that square, so that gave the horse a place to hop into. I get that. Knight f6 check. The knight will exchange with the knight. And the g will take the knight. And now the bishop will take the knight. And again, the nice thing is white still, now he threw the battering ram of the pawn down, and yet interestingly enough, white still has not battered the black king open yet, and he still has a very good bishop guardian on his king side. So Fedorov is doing a really, really strong game with his bishop. His bishop is earning his keep. He is protecting the king. This other bishop, not so much just yet, but Fedorov isn't done yet. H4. Now, this shouldn't surprise us. You threw the G pawn down there. Attack, attack, attack. But it didn't do a whole lot. So throw the H pawn down there because your king is over here, nice, tucked in, safe, and you own the center through possessing 3/4 of it with your actual pieces and pawns. So throw the other pawn down there and disrupt that black king side. That's good chess. That's good king side attack chess. So rook F to C8, double up the file. Semi-open file. It's not yet, but what a target, and putting extreme pressure on that C pawn now. Now that C pawn looks like it's going to fall. There's very little going to be able to prop it up. That is an exquisite attack move because, of course, you're not going to just watch your opponent attack you and do nothing about it. But you'll notice also that he's not necessarily worrying about responding to these pawns coming down. He didn't push the H pawn to stop the advance of that pawn. Now, I suppose you could. That's okay. A much better move is ignore the threat and make one of your own. Now, that's getting tough. That's a strong attack. H5. So you ignored it, and he is ignoring you, and he's still fighting. He's still coming and attacking. So now what do you do? Okay, there's a rule. Nimzovich made a big deal about this, so I will reemphasize this because good old Nimzy baby, he was a great chess player. He wasn't some patcher out there in the hall sipping on Coke, chomping on popcorn, glancing at a distance. He was right in the thick of it. When your opponent has a flank attack, you respond in the center. And this has come down as a really good rule to follow. So, what do we see? He's been coming down on the flank with both the G, and now he's continuing with the H pawns down the flank. Now he can do that. It is entirely feasible. It's all good because the center is, he has a very powerful presence in the center. So once you have control of the center, then attack on a wing. And that's exactly, I mean, this is classic chess. So white is doing this correctly. That's what I'm telling you. And each one is ignoring the other one's threats. Did black think, oh man, he's going to screw up my pawn structure? I better not let him. I'm going to respond to that. I better not let him ruin my pawn structure. Did we see black do that? No. He did not respond to the direct attack. This is no longer a threat. He's attacking you. He's giving you a left hook. You're getting hit here. He completely ignores it and goes on his own in the center. This is fantastic chess. Well, okay, if you're not going to duck, then I'm going to hit you. So H takes the G6, of course. Now you can respond. H takes the G6 with the observation, keep it in mind, what he has accomplished here by throwing the pawns down now is a very cool thing for white. He's got this open file with the rook, direct access to the king. Just so you're aware of that, he also has a bishop coming to this side, and he also has a queen coming to this side. And the interesting thing is, black is threatening to chop on the pawn. That bishop and queen may very well get through. So this is dangerous for black. But he's not responding. He's not losing his cool, freaking out, building up his blood pressure, so he has to go talk to the doctor. He is still carrying out his attack. This is sensational. Well, white does respond. He says, okay, E will take D, and black returns the compliment. Oh, okay, E will take D. What this has done now, interestingly enough, is it has opened up a central open file. It has opened up the board a little bit more for the queen diagonals touching that pawn. Yes, it's guarded at this point. Doesn't matter. For the bishop, for the rook. On the black side, we see pretty much the interesting thing is the same drama. We have a queen on the file, I apologize. We have two rooks on the open file, and we have a bishop going across and a bishop going across. Wow, they're almost symmetrically attacking each other with the same system and the same setup with the pieces. This is why you cannot dilly-dally, although a shalt a not, a dilly-a-dally. Not allowed. You've got to make every move count. Let's go to the board, see how they do it. Queen D2. Now you take a deep breath. Because he just developed his battery. He's getting ready to do something. Here we go. And do not discount this knight that can hop in here really quick if need be, because he's got, yes, it's guarded. I get that. All those squares are guarded at this point, but that can be a deflector to open up the way. And you've got that magnificent open file. So this is going to be very interesting. And how does Fedorov respond, which is so cool, because we just saw this a couple of moves ago. Now we're going to see a repeat, and so we can see the pattern of play Fedorov is showing us so that we can mimic this in our games. Queen goes to the center. E5. Now, here she is useful. The pawn is in the way, but that doesn't matter. All you have to do is bump it a couple of times and go break up his pawns. But he's got another option. Fedorov says, this knight is becoming a nuisance. It's well placed. I cannot dislodge it. So I'm going to do something about it. Queen e5, attacking the knight, attacking the bishop. Yes, they're both supported. We get that. Yes. Let's see what the effect of this is. Aha. Did you notice? White reacted to black's move. Now, that was a very powerful centralizing queen move. I get it. But you blinked. You reacted. You blinked. You reacted. So now it's time to pull the trigger. Aha. Blow the pawn in there. He blinked, so put it in there. Now you can get the pawn moving and break up that king side. Yeah, very interesting, very interesting. What does he do, though? Bishop f4. attack the queen. Of course, because you've got the battery. Use it. Backing a bishop up with the queen. Fabulous. Threaten the bishop or the queen directly. And don't forget, there could be some really powerful follow-up if he decides to do something like this as well. There's a central open file up for grabs. So this is a very tough game. Attack the queen. What have you got, ma'am? Where would you do this? Would you move the queen? In this instance, he does. He does react to this. But where would you put her? This is so astonishing, it just overwhelms me. That's why I wanted to show you this game. I love games like this that give you surprises, and yet those reinforce what we're learning to put into our own games. Queen goes to F5. And your red alarm goes off. Blunder, blunder, bad move. That's the game winner. He got an exclamation point for it. You go, come on, man, I can't play chess that way. Neither can I. It's all cool. It's good. It's good. Because as we learn why they're doing this, then we will get to where we can play chess like this. So a little patience, and let's see what in tarnation. The logic is fantastic. Knight will take the queen, of course. Watch. Bishop takes F5. The bishop down here was doing nothing. The knight up here was doing everything. What has happened now is the queen sacrifice got rid of a minor piece that was so much stronger than his own minor piece. And yet, through sacrificing the queen, he gets rid of the powerful minor piece and he improves the power of his minor piece. Check to the king. Observe whose bishops are better now. This is so important. This bishop is really good. Don't kid yourself. It's got the queen backing it up, but he's got the two bishops, a rook and a rook for the queen, two rooks and a bishop. But how does he place them? Well, he's attacking, so king A1, right? Now that you're down material, one of the cardinal rules, once you're down in material, you must thrust forward as aggressively as possible. Now you attack every single move, bar none. No letting him come up for air. You're going to attack every move. Pawn takes the pawn. Crack the king side open, because look at that. The battery of the pawn is backed up by the pieces, which is the ideal you want. So fantastic. And you've got both bishops centralized right at the king. This could get brutal really quick. B takes C. Watch. What would you do next? This move really stunned me too. It was fantastic. Yeah, when you look at it, you get the logic. You go, yeah, I can't play chess like that. Not yet. Maybe not yet. It's all good, though. Don't get discouraged. Rook takes F4. Kablam. Fascinating. He does not fall for the bishop taking the pawn, forking the king and queen yet. Watch why this is so powerful. Rook to c1. Guard that pawn for everything you can now, because that's the key to not getting checkmated. If that pawn falls, this game's over. Where are you going to go? Rook takes f3, hitting the pawn twice, thrice. That pawn is going to fall, and the king is going to get mated. Notice the absolute perfect coordination of the bishops and the rooks from all angles. And notice White did play this properly by putting his rooks on open files, but he never could utilize them. He never could utilize them. And now he is utilizing, it's not an open file, but he's playing defense. He has no choice. So this is very, very interesting. Now king has to come up to support the pawn. Fundamentally so. And now, I mean, this is savage. The poor little squirt. You're beating him up from here. You're beating him up from here. You're beating him up from here. And now you're sending another pawn to beat him up again. Oh, heavens, yes. This is how it's done. And so, and again, this lesson is probably the most difficult for us to learn, although it doesn't help him. But the principle is accurate. The principle is correct. To take is a mistake. If you take that pawn as white, you only facilitate black into winning faster. So don't do that. He went past. I mean, be obnoxious. Why not? It's your chess game too, right? So now, what do? Open file. Where do you put your rook on the open file? Across from the king, check. King bumps back down to a1. Now for the beauty, push the pawn, d3, discovered check from the bishop. The centralized bishop, check to the king, ouch. Rook c3 is about the only option he's got here. And astonishingly, he makes a really good move. Let's deflect the guardian of the rook. Ouch. Just ouch. And it's here that white resigned. You have no choice, because if you take the rook, there's your mate. What a game. What a game. What a fascinating concept. What an interesting, I think one of the fun aspects of this is the symmetrical attack positions that both of them had, just mirror opposites because of the way they had castled. That was fun to watch. But yeah, lots of good chess here. And it's my pleasure to bring you great games like this. So thanks for watching. Thanks for all your support and love and excitement. I will have many more chess videos coming up. In the meantime, remember, be good, do well, have fun, make lots of friends, go grocery shopping and buy everything on sale. Thanksgiving is coming up on Thursday. Be thankful. It's a good idea to spend the whole week being thankful, isn't it? All right, you guys, I will be back soon with much more.